Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Tony, and the channel is Tony Talks Cards. Hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, no matter when you're watching this. Hope your day and your week is going well. No camera for me today, so I will stay behind the camera this time and show you a book. A little bit of a mini book report. It's a book I got a few months ago, and it's also a story of a page in the book that, funny enough, I already had in my collection, but didn't realize the page had come from the book I just bought. And want to walk you through the book, why I got it, some cool things I'm learning about what's in the book, and just this is the kind of a thing I like to have in my collection every now and then too. It's not just cards, but it's also, I guess, literature and other documentation of some cool points in history as they affect Major League Baseball. So first off, I will show you something. We'll get into the book, but this is the book I picked up. This is Spalding's 1930 official baseball guide. Got this off eBay a little bit ago, and there's maybe a few on eBay still. You can see this is the 54th year of this book. So, doing your quick math, 1876 or 77 or so was when they first released something under this name. So, very cool. There's the back of it, 18, oh, there it is, 1876, 1930, Spalding's official National League ball, the ball that made baseball. So this is a pretty dense book. This is a lot of numbers, a lot of facts. I'm guessing if you were a kid or an adult in 1930, I mean, you couldn't go on to baseballreference.com, obviously, and look up your favorite player stats from the year before or even a couple years ago. This is what you maybe had. You ordered it and you kept it and you looked at it. And maybe you looked at it as you heard games on the radio. Maybe you saw a game in person or just wanted to look up your favorite player and see what was happening. So, anyway, I love these types of things from the era. Again, I love it when things aren't, I guess, encapsulated like graded cards. You can still smell the paper, the almost 100-year-old paper of this book. If you've been to like your parents' or grandparents' house or just had a really old book and you flip through the pages, you kind of know what that smell is. I'm not sure what that smell is, but for us guys who like vintage cards, I'm sure they can make a candle with that smell on it. Maybe it would sell pretty well in this group. But anywho, this is the 1930 guide. So I want to show you a couple things I found cool in this book and walk you through that. So no cards being shown, but if you want to listen along while you're writing, driving, doing the dishes, whatever you're doing, feel free to. I'd love to have you listen along here. So this is again, 1930 Spalding's Guide. We got a whole bunch of activities here, other things you can order. 25 cents, 50 cents, tennis annual, swimming guide, golf guide, the official football guide. Again, the space in between foot and ball is cool. Order that there too. But why this book? Why did I pick this out? Well, clearly it was on eBay and it kind of tickled my thought about, "Hey, I want to get this book. I want to look this up and see what was going on in this year." But this book has statistics from the year before. And the year before was 1929, obviously. A lot of things happened in 29. The Cubs, played in the World Series against, excuse me, Philadelphia of the American League. They did not win. They lost. But the Cubs did manage to play in several World Series between the early 1900s and when they finally got back a couple years ago in 2016, I think it was. So they were there, just did not they just did not get a World Series championship in all that time, but they did play. And they played and lost against Philadelphia in 1929. So I wanted to read more about what was going on in this year. So this page here specifically has the year in space, baseball. It has key interesting facts about baseball from every single day that they could find of the year in 1929. So even as early as January 2nd, 1929, Dennis Lyons, former third baseman and fine batter who played with Baltimore, St. Louis, New York, and Philadelphia, died in West Covington, Kentucky. Again, they they had a lot of details to put this together. They had to do quite the research to have this guide out every single year. On the 15th, Hans Wagner appointed an assistant, sergeant at arms by Pennsylvania legislature. So even stuff that's not directly related to Major League Baseball, they have it here. Clearly, the season will start in April, and there's a lot more details about games in April during the 1929 season. I read a few of these, but I'm not going to read, of course, all these for you here. But again, if you have a favorite team or know that maybe one of your favorite guys, a card you collect, a card you have, a player had a great 1929 year or game, he maybe made it in here. Who knows? Um, Again, in October, the series was taking place between the Cubs and the Athletics. And here it even says on October 8th, I don't know if you can read that or not, Athletics won the first game of the World Series at Chicago 3-1. Talks about who was pitching, attendance, and even dollar receipts, I guess, that they collected at the door for all the tickets. 13 Chicago players struck out, a new record. That wasn't a good record to have there. So, but even on October 8th, the same day the A's won the first game of the series, it has, let's see here, Rochester defeated Kansas City 8-1 in the Little League World Series at Rochester. Carlton pitching against Thomas and Fetty. So they were talking about grade school kids too, junior high kids in Little League World Series, and they included that update on the same date about a World Series update, which is pretty darn cool, I think. So can't imagine putting all this together again before the internet, before a lot of things we have today we take for granted. But that was what happened here. And actually, in 29, I'm not sure if they actually are going to talk about this, but again, the stock market also crashed, which began the Great Depression in October of 1929 as well. I think it was later in October. I don't see it noted here, so maybe they didn't talk about it, but yeah. But again, yeah, lots of interesting facts about your favorite team or favorite game. History of baseball back to the 1860s, 1870s, 1850s. Again, I can't tell if this is all truth, or I know some of the truth, right, may have not been truth that we first thought about some of those older originations of the game, but we'll keep on moving through. We've got National League players in the Spalding Hall of Fame. A few familiar faces here if you know them from cards or other pictures of them. Kai Kyler's number 7 for my Chicago Cubs. We've got the World Series. We've got President Herbert Hoover showing that he was in attendance. And the World Series, again, like I said, the A's and the Cubs. So it's a whole write-up about, and pictures about what was happening, the games. Sorry about that. There's Philadelphia, some of their team members. Very cool. And I think the Cubs are here as well at some point. More Philadelphia team members. Grimm, Chicago first baseman Charlie Grimm, makes a sensational putout by stretching full length at first to get the ball. And again, we've got some box scores from the games as well. So I love seeing these old pictures too, because again, these pictures may not have made it on cards. They may have been in newspapers locally, right? But it's cool seeing other images of guys that you have cards of, you've seen pictures of, and just appreciating what they did, how they were teammates with other folks on the team, and they're Chicago as well. More Chicago players, 1929 Cubs, again, National League champions. There's that. Again, they did not win, but they did play in several World Series in between that time. So, again, some good action shots here. Sliding back into or towards a base, it looks like, attempting to steal third base, and so on and so forth. So, again, each of these also has, here we go, the owner of the Cubs, William Wrigley Jr., and then a write about the National League. I think the year they had, and it talks about other teams as well, of course, that they played, the records. There it shows Chicago, their last 5 seasons, first in 29, third, fourth, and eighth. So a nice little rise in standing the last 5 years leading up to their World Series appearance in 29. But they have other pictures too, right, of other teams. Each team has a couple pages dedicated to pictures of their main or key players that Spalding thought they should advertise. So there's Pittsburgh of the National League. And I won't go through all these, of course, but there's New York. A few guys folks may collect or know. And again, I know there's a lot of St. Louis guys I follow and I'm friends with on the YouTube community here. So St. Louis of the National League, one of their pictures and their players. St. Louis was fourth in 29, but they had been first in 28 and first in 1926. So there you go. But we'll skip on through a little bit more. I don't want to make this too long of a video. But again, you've got all these pictures of all these players, all the teams. Looks like it shows maybe where they were in the standings. Chart showing the standing of clubs each Saturday in the National League. Quite the statistics there. And you can see that Boston did not do well. They played near the bottom most of that year, but others kind of rose to the top like the Cubs did. So very interesting to statistically chart things out that way. And now if you have your glasses on or your magnifying glass, you can see National League records of total bases, slugging percentage, RBI, bases on balls, strikeouts, and hit by pitcher. So again, you need your glasses. I need my glasses for this stuff too. But again, they had their diligence out. All these players got their number of games, at bats, total bases, percentages, RBI, base on balls, and strikeouts. So pretty interesting. American League. Again, there is Thomas Scheib, president, and then Connie Mack, manager of the Athletics. It's a nice picture of Mr. Ruth right there. And I'll go to the Yankees. I know there's some Philadelphia guys on here who like the Athletics. So there's a little picture of the club here from 1929. Again, cool, with numbers to note kind of who each person is, and then a code below to say, again, the number equates to a person. So very cool there. There we go. I'll keep on moving. New York, I guess. We can look at New York. The Yankees had a few decent players back at that time. There's Gehrig, Dickey, Lazzari, of course, many others here. A guy named Ruth at the bottom. Others across the bottom here too, of course. And a second page. Some more pitchers. Leo DeRocher. Stayed in baseball quite a long time there. And again, that's the New York Yankees page here as well. So again, all of these two even scores of New York home games. April to July here at least. Again, winning pitcher, losing pitcher to October also. And then look at that. Ruth's home run record in 1929. I guess that's who he hit the home run off of. The team, the pitcher, and yeah, looks like there's 46 down there till September 18th. So again, if you were a kid following the Yankees, Babe Ruth, or maybe just your favorite player from some other city, and you bought this in 1930, prior to the 30 season starting, you could have had all the statistics, talked to your friends about, who had what batting average, home runs, RBI, wins and losses. And again, before TV and seeing a game in person, you could at least see a picture of your favorite player, or a couple pictures if they were good enough, and some action shots of folks during that season too. So again, it's perspective. We have a different way of finding out knowledge these days. A lot more quickly, interactively, technologically, of course, but nice little time capsule from 1930 of what they thought was important to show with all of these players. And again, you can see Philadelphia was pretty far on the top throughout most of the season. New York near the top, and Boston unfortunately stayed near the bottom most of the season. And there is Luis Fonseca, American League champion. He was a champion batsman, 1929. So but we'll skip on forward. You got all the records, and yeah, they even go into things like the International League. They have International League, minor leagues, other leagues, regional leagues, where they have pictures of the players and records too. So very cool there. I'll skip past some of those guys. Again, a lot of us probably won't know who folks were in Memphis and Chattanooga, Atlanta, and New Orleans. But if you have maybe a player who came up through that system and made the majors in the mid 30s, late 30s, or even early 30s, right? Maybe you'd have an early picture of him with his team in that league prior to making the majors. So again, I've done the research to see who some of those guys could be. But again, for Texas league averages, 1929, they have records back to 1907. 1907, Austin of the Texas League had a 629 winning percentage. And it's compiled by the Texas Statistical Bureau. Very, very math oriented those guys probably were. So, yeah. But the cool part of this book also that I like almost as much as the players' pictures and stories is the advertisements. Spalding, right? Spalding was trying to sell books, but also baseballs and, baseball gear and things like that. So in the back, I didn't bookmark this. Maybe I should have. Let's see here. American Legion Tournament, 1929. Oh, right here, I guess. Yeah, so we have, here, I'll find this here real quick. Sorry about this. Let me find the page. Here we go. Yep. Spalding, official National League ball. You could buy those $2 each, it looks like. Back in 1930, you've got fielder's gloves. So this is the Frank Frisch model, each $8.50. That seems like a lot, but for Frank Frisch, I guess that's what you had to pay. You've got the Stanley Harris model, Eddie Farrell model, Mark Koenig model, three-fingered glove, different colors and material. And again, all the way down to 75 cents or a dollar each, up to Mr. Frank Frisch, $8.50. Spalding baseman's mitts. There we go there. You've got baseball shoes. You've got baseball uniforms, of course. And Spalding baseball sundries, caps, shirts, and pants. So it's just, and again, as I'm flipping through this book, it's funny, the whiff of the old pages is kind of coming to me past my camera. It's, again, just takes me back to flipping through old books and magazines my grandparents would have had, which is doubly cool here too. So official baseball rules 1930. Let me go back one more just to make sure I didn't miss a page I wanted to check out here. Well, there we go. There's a Spalding catcher's mask for $10. It's $15 too for one. Ear protecting, and then sun protecting. So all different types of catcher's mitts, catcher's gear you could have bought. But later, I think it's back here. I should have probably put a mark for it. Yeah, where was it at? Well, here we go. This is what I like. This is what I found fun. I'll look at this first. Spalding baseball bats, again, a space between base and ball. Number 200, player's autograph, $2.50. Very cool. And then a list of models of baseball bats. You've got Lefty O'Doul, Hack Wilson of the Cubs, Curtis Walker, George L. Kelly, Frank Frisch, Bill Cam, Pie Trainer, Charles Holiker, Charles Leo Gabby Hartnett, Bob O'Farrell, Sam Hale, Bing Miller, Frank Schulte, F. Glenn Wright, Fred Leach, Walter French, Robert Fothergill, George Burns, H.E. Manish, Heine Manish, Earl Smith, Charlie Gehringer, Marty McManus, Ossie Orwell, and Mark Koenig with the prices of the bats. But here's the page that I really like. Babe Ruth home run special fielder's glove. $6 for that first glove. Some are $4. There's the Babe Ruth glove, $4. Cool picture of the Babe right there throwing. Not a card, but an image of Babe Ruth nonetheless. So, and then you've got, this is cool too, official baseball rules adopted by the National and American Leagues, 1930, with explanatory notes on the playing rules, a marginal index, and a new series of naughty problems. So these go into, again, even how big the field and bases should be, to things like the ball, the bat, positions of the players. delaying the game, a fairly delivered ball, an unfairly delivered ball. So just again, I can't read through all this probably even in one sitting, but just to kind of page through and see what baseball was like, what rules may be changed, what rules may have been the same. And again, I love the advertisements too. Spalding swimming suits you could buy and look for as well. And even a college baseball guide was available too. So, but that's the book. I know I'm like 20 minutes in. Hopefully you're still with us here. But the one thing I want to talk about too, besides this book, which is really cool, it's not a card, but it has images and statistics and stories about the players, the season that I think, right, the cards didn't always have statistics on them back then. They may have had write-ups about somebody, but growing up in the 70s and 80s and 90s, we had statistics on the back of all these cards back to their minor league years and pro years. You could add up all the homers on the back of a card, like Nolan Ryan in 1993, real tiny font, right, to get all those years in there. But you had the stats easily accessible in a pack of cards when you bought the pack. But here, back in 1930, these guys, this is what you would have to buy to catch up with your favorite player and know what was happening in 1929. And no, unfortunately, that the Cubs lost the Athletics in the World Series in 1929. But I had this. I had already bought this like years ago. And then I bought this book and found the exact same advertisement in the book. So lo and behold, many years ago, I bought this probably off eBay and paid a few bucks for it, whatever. Didn't realize it was out of a magazine. Thought it was cool. It's a Babe Ruth image, Babe Ruth glove. See how much the gloves were, and kind of keep this, display it somewhere in my man cave or baseball displays, right? But now I know this came from this book, ripped out, right? Sold as a Babe Ruth, item, I guess. And for me, honestly, like this is probably the only Babe Ruth item I'm ever going to get or want. His cards are obviously playing days or post playing days with the 48, or the Leaf in the late 40s, right? It's post playing days, but those cards are really expensive. And clearly the Gaudies and other cards during the 20s and even before the 20s are crazy expensive too for good reason. So I don't really have a lot of desire to get a Babe Ruth card right now. And so for me right now, this is kind of my Babe Ruth item. It's kind of an image of him, right? Being used to sell fielder's gloves, which is pretty cool. And I can display this with some other old magazines, articles, gloves I've shown before on the channel. So this will be my probably only Babe Ruth item, and I'm cool with that too. But now I know where it came from. 1930 Spalding's Guide to Baseball. So again, thank you all for stopping by. Appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, thank you very much. Pick up this, if you don't have something like this in your collection, take a look at it. Maybe it's not for everybody, but again, I like having a little bit of a, you know, physical guide of what happened that year. It kind of breaks up other parts of my collection and gives me kind of a chance to pause and slow down and really read about what happened, what Spalding thought was the most important thing each day in 1929, right? Or what the players looked like in these years and what they thought were the highlights and how the teams progressed, win versus loss, right, from April to October. So really interesting time machine to take you back to almost 100 years ago in Major League Baseball. So if you don't have something like this, definitely encourage you to pick something like this up. Maybe it's a 50s guide, a 60s guide, a 40s guide, some other magazine outlining that more analog way of and non-digital, analog, slower way to absorb what's happening and what you may enjoy about each team and each player. So thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.